Hi, I'm so happy you're here. Welcome to the Let's Keep Moving with Risha podcast. This is Risha. I'm a motivational speaker, content creator, and I love talking about things that will help you keep moving in your life, especially on areas like your life, mental health, love, growth, and just everything in between. So if you're ready, let's keep moving. Hello, friends. Thank you so much for stopping by. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate your presence today. I know that if you're still at school, I know this is kind of a hectic season. If you're a young adult or at work, you might be on your way to work listening to this. So thank you. You might needed to hear my message and my rants and my perspective. So thank you so much for being here. Actually, nung nagtanong ako sa Instagram, what do you guys want to hear? I kind of got surprised that you guys are so interested in this topic. Difficult people. How do we deal with difficult people? And every time, my friend, every time I get to ask you what a good episode might be, what a good episode I might research about, or I might share my perspective about, you guys get on me. Like, I find myself getting tested with the same kind of situation. So, ayun lang. This is my personal experience. I want to share something that I also got surprised na this kind of people still get on my nerves or they're still getting on me. It's like, why do I even have to deal with these people? Inisip ko, I might wanna share this broadcast channel ko because guys, I have a broadcast channel. You might wanna check it on my Facebook page and Instagram page. We have a broadcast channel you might wanna join. Pero every time na may idea nagpa-pop sa head ko, doon ko lang sinishare. Could be every day, it could be weekly, but kung wala kayong mga ka-chat there, you might want to join the club, diba? I'll leave the link down in the description. So basically, I wanna leave it there. Sabi ko, gusto ko siya ikwento. Pero na-realize ko, some of my classmates or blockmates will be there. So I wanna keep it here na lang sa podcast. So I may be listening, but I guess we're a little sacred here. It might be safe to share it here. You guys know, siguro, na thesis is now off my plate. It's done. Tapos na yung hardbound ko, napasa ko na sa registrar yung mga certificates and all that. And it's done. Like, literally, it's done. It's off my plate. All I have to think about is my OJT and my comprehensive examinations. So exciting. I don't know, but I'm excited to step into new chapters. But basically, before the process of ever getting it hardbound is so hard. And I want to share a very particular story wherein I got to deal with a difficult person. I shared this on Instagram with some of my close friends. Kasi naparaan talaga ako kasi hindi ko maintindihan. But the fact that I'm sharing it here means that I already gained a little perspective and I want to share it with you. So hopefully, as you may find yourself in that same situation like I did, you may respond, react differently the next time. It's been a busy day at that day and hinahabol ko talaga yung program chair namin para ma-check ko sa kanya yung thesis ko. Actually, 2 hours akong naghihintay sa kanya sa pagpapacheck. And thank God, inedit niya na, okay na. And all I have to do is to edit it or revise it and then ipaprint ko, then masign niya na, which is okay for hardbound. However, it was around 4:30 na at the time. Almost 20 to 30 minutes before the library closes. Eh, meron akong spot sa library sa may cyberspace section, dun sa mga computer section. Dun talaga malakas yung wifi. And there's this spot na favorite ko. Kasi malakas yung wifi doon sa spot na yon. And every time na I get to go to the library, doon ako nagkaka-chance umupo. Since maraming beses na siya nangyari, doon ako umuupo. I don't know if you guys can relate, but there's this habit of mine, or at least behavior attitude of mine, na when I get to try something, whether it's a food, it's a piece of clothing, it's a coffee, it's a space, anything, when I try it and I like it, I have a good experience, I feel safe doing it, I do it all the time. What I mean is, I relieve myself the pressure of deciding, of choosing. Punta ako ng coffee shop. I have this favorite or like my regular na in order. Yun na yung orderin ko anytime. Just so hindi na ako mag-iisip because I might be indecisive sometimes. So, in order for me to avoid that attitude, para hindi na mapatagal, doon na lang ako iinom, doon na lang ako pupwesto. It's kind of a me thing. I don't know if you guys experience. So, with that attitude in mind, it was, the library is almost near to its closing. But I have to edit it kasi by 5 p.m., kailangan kong maipa-revise doon sa program chair namin yung manuscript ko. And nagdiretso agad ako dun sa regular seat ko. Without knowing na wala nang tao sa paligid, pwede akong umupo dun sa table near it. Knowing or having that thought in my head, dun ako uupo sa regular seat ko. Kasi computer section siya. Nilabas ko si laptop ko, hinugot ko yung manuscript sa bag ko. Hinahabol ko yung oras I need to have it passed kasi sobrang dami na walang pasok the next coming days. Kasi may mga charter event, may mga CAS event. So, gusto ko maayos na siya at matapos na siya. What happened was, itatype ko pa lang yung password ng laptop ko. Someone snapped at me at the back. And that is the library man. So, siya yung nag-aayos ng mga computer section. So, may library talaga na attendant dun sa labas, pero meron din for the computer section. And he was like, naayos ko na yan. Tapos, diyan ka uupo, yung daming extra seats dito. So, I was like, oh my gosh. Like, how am I supposed to handle it? There are 3 people doon sa table sa gilid na dapat doon ako umupo. Pero I have this thought in my head kasi na that is my regular seat. So doon ako umuupo without knowing na naayos na pala niya yan kasi magsasarado na yung library. So I was so shocked. I got startled. So what happened was I stand up and I apologized. Like, sorry po, hindi ko po alam, pasensya na po. So, that's what happened. So, I fixed my things, lumipat ako, and then, dire-diretso pa din yung pag-imik niya. Like, kita mo naman na inayos ko na yan and all that. Basta ang dami niyang salita. And knowing na it's the library, and there are 3 people who were studying dun sa gilid. So, kind of napahiya ako. And then, I was really apologetic. It's not like, ano naman, kumupo ako dito. I was very apologetic. I was like, sorry po, pasensya na po, hindi ko po alam. And then, nagpunta na ako dun sa gilid. Inayos ko yung keyboard, inayos ko yung mouse, and then, hindi ko na-move yung seat. Kasi nilipat ko muna yung laptop ko at saka yung mga gamit ko dun sa kabilang table. And then, nung nandun ako sa kabilang table, which is kakaupo ko lang din, ayusin mo pa yung silya. And all that. So, parang, na-shocked ako with the attitude. I handled it with so much grace. Hindi ako reactive, so super quiet lang ako. And then, all throughout, like my time there, he was continuously talking. So, I'm like, it was an honest mistake. I didn't intend to go there and offend you na gagamitin ko to kahit kaayos mo lang. Kasi at the back of my head, it's my regular seat. Ayun lang. After that, wala pang 2 minutes or 5 minutes, pinalis niya na kami kasi magsasarado na daw yung library, hindi ba daw namin alam na ganito, ganyan. And at the back of my head, again, I'm going to revise my thesis and there's no other place in the university na mas malakas yung Wi-Fi other than that space. So, I let it go. I have a thesis to pass. I have a thesis to revise. I have a thesis to print before 6 p.m. Kailangan ko siyang mapasa. And that's it. I wasn't able to deal with the situation because I was busy thinking of my thesis. But if it were the other day, I think I would snap back. Kasi I don't think I deserve that kind of treatment. I was very apologetic. I was very quiet. I apologized a lot of times, like continuously, several times. Pero there really are people who will get into your nerves and who will trigger your patience, trigger your empathy. There are really people who will trigger those emotions that you worked so hard to be contained. And mind you, not all people get to have that attitude of not responding or reacting back. Because sometimes, and I've met a lot of people na they'll snap back or they'll defend themselves. But ako at that time, I'm so proud that I was able to think of a better way to handle things and not to actually react to this person. Alam nyo, nasa isip ko habang lumalabas ako ng library is that baka pagod lang din siya today. Baka he got a bad day. Baka hindi niya love yung work niya. Baka he's also having a hard time in life. And somehow, that made me feel better. When you put yourself in people's situations, when you put yourself in people's point of views, you'd understand why people reacted that way. And I think that is what this episode is all about. I won't give you tips on how it should be done, on how you get to deal with difficult people, especially if it's happening on a daily basis. Napakahirap talaga niya. But I guess, how would you react if you are on that position? What if you put yourself on that person's shoes? What if you had a bad day? What if something happened? What if he lost a loved one? What if he's dealing with something? What if he's dealing with a bigger problem and he wasn't able to also contain his or her emotions? And I think super important na may ganun tayong perspective when we're dealing with people. Let's not jump into conclusions sa ugali nila, sa behavior nila just because of one encounter or a couple of encounter with these people. Kahit ka-work mo pa yan, kahit ka-klase mo pa yan, kahit part of the family mo pa yan. What if there's a bigger problem going on inside their head, inside their body, and we wouldn't know it? And it's not our job to know it. Maybe the best thing we can do for these people is to hold space for their emotions, but relieve ourselves the responsibility to fix them. It's not about you. The reason why your parents snap at you, or the reason why your coworkers snap at you, or the reason why this friend acted that way isn't because of you. Everything else that we do outside of us is because of our internal battles. It's because of what's happening inside of us. Everything else is a mirror of who this person is or what this person is going through. And it takes so much courage to be the bigger person. And I want you to remember all the time that a difficult person is often someone who is also dealing with stuff on their own, dealing with some difficult problems, dealing with a different attachment style which sometimes clashes with yours. And the more you understand that people are just trying their best, that people are dealing with stuff, that people have their own emotional and internal baggages, the more you get to separate from them. Kaya sabi ko sa inyo, when I get out of the library, if it was a different person, if it weren't me, I might have snapped back. And I'm so grateful I did not, because it can cause bigger problems pa. Those problems are problems I might not be ready to handle. So yeah, if you're going to ask me, Miss Risha, where is this conversation going? I know that you get to find yourself in places where people trigger you, where people trigger your calmness, your emotional maturity. Parang tinitrigger ka lagi ng mundo. And if you're going to ask me, how do I deal with these people if I'm in a relationship with them? If I am with them at home? If I meet them? If I work with them? If we're talking about dealing with them, for sure, there are ways for as long as you can tolerate it. Hindi mo pwedeng baguhin yung tao just because it affects you or their attitude affects you. But if you want to bring these people to a place of security and wanting to change them, it's hard to change people if they're not aware of the problem. It's hard to change people if they're not willing to work with you. It's hard to change people if they do not know what they're dealing with or not willing to even deal with a problem. Because you can't do that by yourself. They've got to acknowledge their coping style. They've got to acknowledge first. So maybe this episode is for you to let go of that attachment to these people. Stop thinking that you're a bad person just because these people treated you that way. Stop thinking you're the problem because this person treated you a certain way. They've got to be aware of the effects of their behavior more than you have to be aware of theirs. So parang always, have this invisible scissor na every time they trigger you, cut the string. Like, it's not you, it's them. And kagaya ng palagi kong sinasabi, it takes so much work to fix someone. It takes so much work. So maybe it's not your job to fix these people. Maybe it's your job to remind them that you got hurt. It's your job to remind them that this behavior they did hurt you. Maybe that's your job. But to be able to fix it and help them, you can't do that all by yourself. Respect that your partner came from a totally different upbringing. Respect that your parents came from a totally different upbringing. Respect that your coworkers or your blockmates or your classmates or the people you work with in general came from totally different upbringing. An upbringing you don't even know. And it's a place so different from yours. The thing is, you've got to work together. And if they don't want to, that's not your problem anymore. If it's a family member, understand them. Alam mo na ganito sila, then do not be with them all the time. Build boundaries. And if it's a workmate, understand them. But always bring this sister with you that, it's not about me. Maybe she's having a bad day. Maybe she's dealing something at home. Maybe she's carrying so much weight inside of him or inside of her. And when you just get to remind yourself that every time someone triggers you, just remind yourself, maybe she's having a bad day. Maybe she's having a bad day. Believe me, it's going to be so much easier. That's about it, everybody. Thank you so much for spending time with me. I know that it's a quick episode, but hopefully you learned from it. It's a quick rant or venting episode, pero I know you might be experiencing the same thing where people just triggers you and you have no choice but to deal with them. I hope you learned something anyway. I'd love to know your thoughts. Tell me about a certain triggering experience you had. And for the poll naman, do you get triggered easily? I mean, there are people kasi who are very protective of their space, and there are people na mabilis talagang ma-offend because they're a bit sensitive, just like me. But yeah, nothing to be ashamed when it comes to sharing that. If you enjoyed this episode, shared it with a friend, please. Maybe someone is having a bad day today. They might need some little extra encouragement, and this episode might be it. So yeah, know that I'm grateful for you. I've always been, and I'm rooting for you. I'm rooting for you big time. I'll see you soon, and until then, please don't forget to always keep moving. Bye.